A major conflict is quietly brewing between Apple and the Indian government, one that could reshape the future of technology in the country. India now demands that all new smartphones, including iPhones, come preloaded with a government-made app called Sanchar Sathi. This app is designed to help users track and block lost or stolen phones, but it also gives the government a new level of access to devices. This puts Apple in a tough spot. India is a crucial growth market, with millions of potential new customers. But the order clashes with Apple's core values of privacy and device security. Apple has always marketed itself as a champion of user privacy, setting it apart from competitors. The directive, delivered confidentially in late November 2025, wasn't just for Apple. Samsung and Xiaomi also received it. The government is making it clear that no company is exempt from these new rules. The rule is simple but sweeping. Preload Sanchar Sathi on every new device, and push a software update to add it to phones already in stores. This means every smartphone, whether it's just arrived or has been sitting on a shelf, must have the app installed. Companies have 90 days to comply. The countdown has already started, and the pressure is mounting as the deadline approaches. This isn't a suggestion, it's an official order, and it's forcing global tech giants to make a difficult choice. The government is signaling that it's willing to take a hard line, even if it means clashing with some of the world's biggest brands. For Apple, the stakes are high. Its brand is built on protecting user data, and any compromise could damage its reputation not just in India, but globally. Forcing a government app onto iPhones could undermine that promise and set a precedent for other countries to demand similar access, raising concerns about privacy and surveillance worldwide. The timing is especially tricky. Apple has been investing heavily in India, opening flagship stores and ramping up local manufacturing to reduce reliance on China and tap into India's booming smartphone market. A public fight with the government could threaten its future in this massive market, potentially slowing down expansion plans and damaging relationships with Indian authorities. Yet complying could compromise the very security features that make Apple trusted worldwide. Security experts warn that pre-installed apps can introduce new vulnerabilities, making devices more susceptible to hacking or misuse. Apple is caught between defending its principles and protecting its business in one of the world's largest markets. The next few months will reveal whether Apple can find a middle ground, or if this standoff will become a defining moment for tech in India.
So, what's the app at the center of this storm? Let's break it down and see why it's making headlines across the country. Sanchar Sathi, which translates to communication partner, is an app developed by India's Department of Telecommunications. It's part of a larger government initiative to make mobile usage safer and more transparent for everyone. The app is designed to help users block stolen or lost phones, and also lets you check how many SIM cards are registered under your name, a feature that aims to prevent identity theft and SIM card misuse. But the government's new order goes much further than just making the app available. Now, it mandates that Sanchar Sathi must be pre-installed on every new smartphone sold in India, and users won't be able to delete it from their devices. Previously, if you wanted to use Sanchar Sathi, you could simply download it from the App Store, just like any other app. The choice was entirely yours. Now, that choice is gone. The app will be a permanent fixture on every new phone, whether you want it or not. On paper, the app's features, like tracking lost phones, blocking stolen devices, and preventing SIM fraud, sound genuinely useful and could help many people in distressing situations. But making it a permanent, unremovable part of every phone is what's causing alarm. Many people are worried about what else the app could access or monitor. Privacy advocates warn that this shift from optional to mandatory is a major overreach, raising concerns about surveillance and the erosion of digital rights. The app, presented as a public safety tool, becomes controversial when it's forced onto every device, blurring the line between security and personal freedom. For tech companies and privacy experts, the real issue isn't just the app's function. It's the loss of user control and the precedent it sets for future government-mandated software. That's why the Sanchar Sathi mandate is so contentious. It's not just about one app, it's about who gets to decide what lives on your phone. The government says the rule is about cybersecurity and public safety, a Officials cite rising digital scams and phone theft, arguing that Sanchar Sathi will help block stolen devices and prevent criminal misuse. By linking phones to their rightful owners, the app aims to make India's digital space safer. The government insists this isn't about surveillance, but about empowering citizens to protect their data. They argue that, in a country with hundreds of millions of users, a pre-installed solution is the best way to ensure basic security for all. The Sanchar Sathi mandate is framed as part of the broader Digital India initiative, but critics say the benefits don't outweigh the risks to privacy and user autonomy.
Apple's response has been firm but quiet. The company refuses to pre-install third-party or government apps, citing security and privacy risks. Instead of a public fight, Apple is engaging in private talks with Indian officials, explaining why the order threatens the integrity of iOS. Apple argues that forcing a government app onto iPhones could create vulnerabilities, not just in India, but globally. The company is wary of setting a precedent. If it gives in here, other countries could demand the same. Apple's strategy is to negotiate behind closed doors, hoping to avoid a political spectacle. The company's core principle: only Apple decides what software goes on its devices. If it makes an exception for India, it risks losing control everywhere. Apple is drawing a line, betting that quiet diplomacy can protect both its users and its brand. Privacy experts are sounding the alarm over the Sanchar Sathi mandate, warning that it could set a dangerous precedent for digital rights in India and beyond.
A government-mandated, undeletable app could become a tool for mass surveillance, allowing authorities to track citizens' movements and activities in real time.
Even with good intentions, such an app creates infrastructure that could be misused by future administrations or malicious insiders, turning a safety tool into a weapon against privacy.
The app could collect sensitive data, location, contacts, call history, without full user consent, raising concerns about how this information might be stored, accessed, or even shared with third parties.
Apple's iOS is designed as a secure, closed system. Forcing a third-party app with special permissions breaks that model, potentially undermining years of work to keep user data safe from prying eyes.
Hackers could exploit vulnerabilities in the app, putting users' personal data at risk. Any security flaw could open the door to cybercriminals, making everyone more vulnerable.
The inability to disable or delete the app is a major red flag, stripping users of control over their own devices and digital lives.
It shifts control from the user to the government, making many uncomfortable and eroding trust in both technology and public institutions.
The core tension is clear. We want devices secure from criminals, but also from government overreach. Striking the right balance is more important than ever.
Apple and critics argue that true security means protecting users from all threats, not just some. Anything less risks undermining the very foundation of digital trust.
The Sanchar Sathi mandate forces a choice between safety and privacy, one with global implications that could shape the future of technology policy for years to come.
The secret order quickly sparked a political firestorm in India. Opposition parties accused the government of building a surveillance state and bypassing democratic debate.
Leaders like Rahul Gandhi and K.C. Venugopal denounced the mandate as an assault on privacy. The confidential nature of the directive fueled suspicion and outrage. Civil society groups joined in, pointing out India's lack of strong data protection laws. Critics warned that, without safeguards, Sanchar Sathi could be used to track protesters or silence journalists. The controversy exposed the government's growing power to push tech policies without consultation.
What began as a technical dispute became a national debate about democracy, privacy, and government power in the digital age. Under pressure, the government's response only added confusion. Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia publicly claimed the app was voluntary and deletable, contradicting the confidential order. This reversal left phone makers and the public unsure which directive to follow. If the app is truly voluntary, why mandate pre-installation? The original order's forceful language suggested the government wanted a permanent fixture. The mixed messages did little to calm fears about surveillance or restore trust. Companies like Apple and Samsung were left in limbo, holding conflicting instructions. For critics, the muddled response was proof the policy was rushed and couldn't withstand scrutiny.
India's demand is part of a global trend. Governments are tightening control over tech platforms.
Russia, for example, requires pre-installed national apps, and Apple eventually complied, but with user choice. The EU's Digital Markets Act also forces changes, though it's about competition, not surveillance. What makes India's case unique is the combination of mandatory pre-installation and the potential for the app to be undeletable. This places India's move closer to authoritarian models than most democracies.
The Apple-India standoff is a test case that could shape how far governments can go in controlling personal devices.
This isn't just a corporate dispute. It affects anyone who uses a smartphone. At stake, who controls your device? You, the manufacturer, or your government?
If Apple gives in, it sets a global precedent. Other governments could demand their own apps, risking privacy and freedom.
This could splinter the global tech ecosystem, making your digital rights depend on geography.
The balance between security and privacy is delicate. A tool for safety can become a tool for oppression.
Forcing a backdoor onto every phone makes everyone more vulnerable, to governments and criminals alike.
Apple's resistance and India's political backlash are about defending the idea that our devices should be private spaces.
The smartphone is our wallet, diary, and window to the world. Keeping it secure is a fight for freedom.
What happens in New Delhi will echo everywhere.
The outcome will shape the future of privacy and technology for us all.